7 things you must stop controlling if you want to feel at peace. Have you ever felt exhausted, even though you did nothing wrong? Have you ever tried to control everything? Other people's emotions, what they think of you, how events unfold, even the past? The more you try to control, the more chaotic the world becomes. The tighter you grip, the more your mind slides into insecurity. And perhaps precisely when you think you're controlling life, you're quietly being controlled by it. That is the painful paradox of the modern age. We live in a world that demands too much. Be stable, be successful, anticipate every risk. But no one teaches us one thing. Peace doesn't come from controlling more. It comes from knowing what to let go of. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote in Meditations, "When you try to control what is not yours to control, you hand yourself over to pain." That is not surrender, it is awakeness. Stoics don't run from reality, nor do they abandon everything. They learn to discern clearly what lies within reach and what must be released. And only when they stop trying to control the uncontrollable do they truly touch a steady, calm, unshakable state. Right now, we'll take you through 7 things you must stop controlling if you want to feel at peace. Each one is a needle, pulling out of your chest the illusions, worries, and misplaced expectations that have long taken root. Take a deep breath and settle, because the journey of letting go is not a journey of loss. It is a journey back to yourself. Thing 1, you must stop controlling how others think of you. We've spent far too much of our lives trying to manage the image of ourselves in the minds of others, from how we speak, how we act, how we post on social media, to how we choose to stay silent or pretend everything is fine, not because that's what we truly want, but because we fear being misunderstood, judged, or seen in an unfavorable light. We fall into a lifelong subtle game, the game of controlling others' perceptions of us. And that's a game you can never win, because you cannot control what happens inside someone else's mind. You can say the right thing and still be misunderstood. You can live with kindness and still be accused of having ulterior motives. You can explain, clarify, and please all you want, but in the end, people are free to think however they choose. Epictetus stated this clearly over 2,000 years ago. If someone speaks ill of you and it's false, do not bother correcting them. For if they are wrong, they also don't know what is right. The Stoics realize this. Our deepest suffering doesn't come from judgment itself, but from losing ourselves in the pursuit of acceptance. You try to untangle other people's emotions, filter their thoughts, reshape their minds. But the more you do, the more you lose your inner freedom. You're no longer living by reason. You're living like a mirror, merely reflecting external expectations. And that is what exhausts you. Freedom begins when you stop. Stop explaining to those who don't truly want to understand. Stop painting a version of yourself to satisfy their perception. Stop molding yourself into a socially acceptable persona just to soothe your fear of rejection. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "When you worry about how others perceive you, you let them govern your mind. And your mind is the only thing you truly own. You owe no one a justification. You only owe yourself a life of virtue, of integrity, of reason. The wise do not strive to be understood. They strive to understand themselves. And that is the foundation of true peace. You no longer have to monitor what the world thinks of you. You simply have to illuminate your inner world, to be certain that you're living righteously, honestly, and never betraying what you believe in. Thing 2, you must stop controlling the outcome of everything. After letting go of the need to manage how others see you, another kind of silent control begins to surface. We want to control outcomes. The outcome of work, the outcome of love, the outcome of a single choice. We believe that if we do things right, life must pay us back according to our expectations. And when the outcome isn't what we wanted, we easily fall into crisis, disappointment, anger, or self-doubt. But Stoics don't think that way. They understand we control only our actions, not the results. Epictetus taught his students, "Your task is to ready the bow, tend to the arrow, aim carefully, and let it fly with full integrity. But whether it hits the mark, that lies beyond your hand. You can work diligently, but you cannot force others to recognize you. You can love someone with full sincerity, but you cannot make them stay. You can be careful and prepare thoroughly for everything. Yet events can still happen, markets can still shift, plans can still collapse. What matters is that you do not fail through carelessness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do your part with devotion, then leave the outcome to nature." For once you have acted rightly, whatever the result, you can still hold your head high. Our deepest unease isn't in, "It didn't go my way," but in, "Did I give it my all?" Stoics find peace in doing what's right, regardless of the outcome. Because outcomes always fluctuate, but character is what you can hold steady. When you stop trying to control results, you return to a state where your mind is no longer torn between want and fear, between must succeed and what if I fail. You simply live, work, and love, fully, clearly, and without regret. That is the starting point of serenity. And once you stop trying to steer the future, the next thing to release is the past. Up next is thing 3, a truth most of us are unknowingly imprisoning ourselves in. Are you ready? Thing 3, you must stop controlling the past. There's a paradox that makes many people suffer for life. We cannot change the past, yet we constantly try to control it in our minds. We replay what happened over and over. If only I hadn't said that. I should have taken a different path. If only I hadn't trusted them back then. We live with a mental rewind machine, torturing ourselves with what can never be repaired. Seneca, the Stoic sage, wrote, "Fools relive their past pains. The wise live in the present as a gift unfolding each second." Stoics don't live to debug the past. They live to grow from it. Because the past is something no one can redo, but it can be redefined. You cannot erase a wound already there, but you can let that wound become a badge, that you have lived, stumbled, and learned something from it. To do this, Stoics practice something simple yet difficult. Let go of what has flowed by, not because you forget, but because you understand. You are no longer who you were yesterday. You cannot go back to change the choices, but you can become the person who chooses differently today. Letting go of the need to control the past is how you keep it from controlling you. That is true freedom, and it is the foundation for lasting peace. If you're still wrestling with thoughts haunted by the past, then welcome to our Stoic rank and file. Here, everyone has walked through scratches of the soul, and instead of denying them, we learn to stand steady on what once made us fall. If this resonates with you, subscribe to Stoicism Empire right now. Not to run from the past, but to turn it into strength. And don't leave yet, because the next thing 4 will unlock an important truth many people confuse, that you can control your emotions by suppressing them. Is that true? Right now, we'll find out. Thing 4, you must stop controlling emotions by suppression. As soon as you begin to let go of the past, a new door opens, a door into the inner life where unnamed emotions are churning. Many people think mastering emotions means hiding them, staying silent when angry, smiling when sad, clamping down when hurt, acting as if nothing happened. But Stoics don't call that control. They call it avoidance. Epictetus emphasized, you cannot heal a wound by pretending it isn't there. Suppression is only a temporary coping tactic. It's like placing a rock on a pressure cooker lid. You think you're controlling your feelings, but inside they smolder, ready to explode. Stoics do not choose to deny anger, fear, or hurt. They observe emotions like a sentry, alert and calm, without judgment, without identifying themselves with the feeling. Because emotions are not the enemy, emotions are signals. Like a red light on the dashboard, they're not the fault. They're a reminder to pause, adjust, and look inward. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "Today I may meet the rude, the deceitful, the treacherous, but I am prepared not to be carried away by emotion." That isn't coldness, it's a rational selection of feeling. When you realize you don't need to react instantly, you take a long step toward inner freedom. When you understand that emotions are part of being human, but not the commander of your life, you stop fearing them. You cannot keep the swells of emotion from arriving, but you can learn to ride them without going under. Just as a skilled horseman doesn't whip to subdue, he guides through understanding and observation. You don't have to be stronger than your emotions. You only need to understand them before they steer you. That is the Stoic art of emotional mastery. Not bracing, not pretending, not denying, but transmuting. And if you're ready to walk through emotional storms with calm, then the next thing 5 will be a quiet challenge that snares many, controlling other people. A sweet but dangerous psychological trap. One of the greatest wastes of mental energy. Thing 5, you must stop controlling other people. If you've ever been disappointed because others didn't behave as you expected, if you've ever tried to change someone so they would become better, if you've pushed yourself to the point of depletion just to hold on to a relationship that didn't want to stay, then perhaps you've forgotten this core point in Stoic philosophy. We do not control the actions of others, we only control our own responses. Epictetus. A great deal of suffering doesn't come from what people do, but from our expectation that they should act the way we want. We want our loved ones to understand us, but they may be busy trying to understand themselves. We want our partner never to change, but human feelings are always in flux. We want colleagues, friends, society to recognize, to be kind, to walk with us, but the truth is, they don't owe us that. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remember that other people act according to their nature, not to oppose us." That may sound dry, but if you ponder it, it's a key to liberation. Because the moment you stop trying to control others, you'll no longer be wounded by their rejection, coldness, or betrayal. You'll stop living as if your joy were someone else's responsibility to maintain. Stoics practice emotional freedom by not expecting anyone to fully understand them, not demanding absolute agreement, not clinging to outside applause. You can't train someone to love you the right way. You can't force respect if they don't want to give it. And you certainly can't control anyone's feelings, choices, or thinking, because the only person you truly have the right to change is yourself. Paradoxically, when you stop controlling others, they begin to listen to you more. Because you are living as an emblem of inner freedom, non-attached, non-coercive, non-imposing. And the lighter your heart grows, the more breathable the world around you becomes. There is a very strange freedom when you stop trying to make others right. You begin to channel your energy into living rightly yourself. And that is the opening to the next lesson. Learn to stop controlling perfection, because of the very trap called perfection has driven countless people to silently torment themselves. Right after this, we'll step into thing 6, a deep layer that Stoic philosophy brings up in every meditation. Thing 6, you must stop controlling perfection. Have you ever found yourself exhausted just because one small thing wasn't perfect? An article not quite good enough, a video without enough likes, a stable job, yet you still feel not good enough. You try a bit more, try to surpass yourself one more time, and the more you try, the farther peace seems to drift, like a shadow you can never catch. In Stoic philosophy, perfection isn't a state to achieve, it's an illusion. Seneca wrote, "A good life doesn't come from doing everything perfectly, but from doing well what lies within our capacity." Perfection in the Stoic view is accepting limits and still living fully within them. But the modern world doesn't teach us that. It teaches us that everything can be optimized. If it isn't optimized, you haven't tried hard enough. If it isn't perfect, you're failing. And so we live like a bug-fixing machine that never shuts off. You worry at every mistake. You get irritated when results don't match expectations. You procrastinate because you fear not being good enough at the start. You wear yourself out because you always feel not enough. Marcus Aurelius reminded, "Do what's right without needing praise, without needing perfection, without needing favorable conditions. Just do it because it's what needs doing." Stoics don't chase perfection. They train consistency. They don't need everything to go smoothly. They just need to stand firm. They don't live to be recognized as the best. They live not to be dragged around by vain measures. Because they know life doesn't need to be perfect to be peaceful. It only needs enough awareness, enough acceptance, and enough discipline to do what's right, even in imperfect conditions. The more someone pursues perfection, the more easily they fall into depression, anxiety, and disconnection from self. The more someone accepts mistakes, cracks, and limits, the more easily they see the real beauty in the journey. When you stop trying to control perfection, you begin to live more lightly. You no longer need to be somebody to feel worthy. You just need to be yourself, living awake and responsible. And right here we arrive at the final lesson. The most important thing you must stop trying to control is the final outcome of every effort. Right now, let's step into thing 7 to close this Stoic thread with a key lesson. Release your grip on outcomes so your heart can be light as a cloud. Thing 7, you must stop controlling the final outcome. You can plan carefully, you can act with strict discipline, you can prepare everything perfectly, and the outcome can still defy your hopes. The audience doesn't respond as you expected. The person you love leaves. The project you poured your heart into fails, and you feel powerless because you believe that if you did everything right, then the result must match your will. But that belief is mistaken. Stoics understand action is our business, outcome is not. Epictetus taught, you can control effort, but you can never control outcome. Stoicism doesn't deny the role of goals, but it puts goals in their proper place, as a compass for direction, not an obsession with a finish line, because outcomes are governed by thousands of factors beyond our reach. Timing, circumstances, others' behavior, random risk. If you place your happiness in outcomes, you put your mind in the hands of the uncontrollable, and thus peace will always lie out of reach. Imagine you plant a seed. You can water, tend, and protect it each day, but you cannot command it to bloom at the moment you choose. The result arrives when it arrives, if it arrives, and if it doesn't, you can still be proud of the integrity of your actions. Marcus Aurelius emphasized, act for what is right, then let the result come as it must. Like a soldier who obeys orders, not one who demands reward. This is Stoicism's key principle. Peace doesn't come from everything going your way. Peace comes from not being broken when things don't. When you stop controlling outcomes, you free your mind from the fear of failure. You start living for integrity, not for the lottery of happy endings. You act because you choose to live rightly, not because you need recognition, rewards, or flawless success. And that is the last thing someone who seeks peace must learn to release. Stop trying to control outcomes. Instead, control how you act in each moment. This is not surrender. This is the peak of inner freedom. Act with your whole heart, then walk on in serenity, no matter what comes after. Now, if you've come this far, perhaps you already feel a little lighter, because you've realized the things you've been trying to control are the very source of your unrest. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I choose action, not attachment to outcomes. And share your reflections on the deepest lesson in this video. Stoicism Empire is always listening. Right now, let's move to the philosophical conclusion, where we'll look back on the entire journey and distill an awakening thought for you to carry as a spiritual shield through the rest of your life. Philosophical conclusion. There's a strange paradox. The more you try to control life, the more insecure you feel. The more you learn to let go, the closer you come to peace. Modern people live as if they were supreme deities, always trying to steer others' emotions, control the future, force time to obey, keep outcomes clenched in hand, and then they burn out. Not because the world is too chaotic, but because inside them, there has never been stillness. Stoics understand, this world is not yours. Only your mind truly is. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, not while preaching, but while fighting on the edge of life and death. You have the power to have no opinion, not to react to everything, not to cling to outcomes, not to control the world. You need only control yourself. That is true freedom, not freedom from society, but freedom from the bonds within your own mind. If you're exhausted from trying to become a perfect version of yourself, if you're burned out from trying to predict the future, if you're losing the present because you fear outcomes, then it's time to release what cannot be controlled. Not to give up on life, but to live it truer, lighter. Peace has never come from grabbing everything. Peace has always come from knowing exactly what to let go of. If you recognize yourself in one or more of these points, subscribe to Stoicism Empire, where we don't teach you to become the best. We help you become the quietest, steadiest version of yourself. Share this video with a friend who's worn out from carrying too much, because sometimes a timely release can keep a mind from the brink. Stoicism Empire, where an inviolable inner life is forged.